sure that we start as closely on time as we can. So my apologies, everyone, for the delay in me getting on again for the meeting. I logged in early. I think I logged in at like 6:45 and had everything set up and everything seemed to be well. And then it goes kablanky. So I don't understand that, but we'll have to work on that. But I want to welcome everybody to our Commerce Committee meeting and officially call the meeting to order on April 15th at 7:12 p.m. Okay, so thank you guys for being here. So if you don't mind, if we can do a quick roll call, that would be great. So I'll start off with myself, Hassan Bakruddin, Chair of the Commerce Committee. Farah, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and identify yourself for the record, Farah.
Sorry, Mr. Bakruddin, my audio is coming in and out, but I did start the recording for everybody.
No problem. Okay, great. Khadija, could you go ahead and identify yourself, if you don't mind?
Khadija Luo, I'm here, committee member. Nice to meet everyone.
Okay, all right. Ms. Belling, could you just unmute and identify yourself for the record? Ms. Belling?
Yes, good evening. This is Ms. Belling, committee
All
member,
right.
board member. Nice
All
to
right.
be
Thank you. Thank
part
you.
of this meeting.
All right. And then I'm looking at Mr. Detective Skinner. Can you just identify yourself, sir, for the record, if you don't mind?
Good evening, everyone. Detective Skinner, 6-7 Precinct Community Affairs.
All right. Mr. J from Pepper's Jerk Chicken, can you identify yourself, sir, just for the record?
How you doing? Hope everybody's having a great night. This is Jason from Pepper's Jerk Chicken.
All righty. Thank you so much, sir. Next up, we got George. Mr. Tate.
Good evening again, everyone. This is George Tate, committee member.
All righty. We did Khadija already. Marguerite.
Okay, Marguerite Villante, committee member.
All righty. And good evening. And lastly, certainly not but least, is Sonia.
Hello, good evening. Sonia Clark, committee member.
All righty. Okay, great. Thank you guys for going through that exercise. We just need to get it on the record. I know it's always painful, but it is a process that we have to go through. But thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And certainly we want to get started right away. So I want to go directly into our chairperson's report, if I can. So please, guys, bear with me and hold all of your questions, okay, if you don't mind. Hold all of your questions until I finish with the report. And be more than happy to answer any questions that we have. Okay, so I'll try to do this as briefly as we can. Just as an FYI, some of the things that we've got already together for April, I think I've sent over the, of course, the Commerce Committee has our own newsletter that we put out every month. Members, you should have gotten that. Committee members, you definitely should have gotten it. And I definitely sent it out a while ago. So if you haven't got it, please let me know and I'll make sure that we get that out. That usually goes up on the, it gets attached to the Community Board 17 newsletter as well. And we send that out also to our small business owners and community. So, which is something that we always want to make sure that they keep them informed also. We had the business corridor walkthrough on April 2nd. And we had that business corridor walkthrough on Church Avenue from Utica Avenue to East 43rd. And the two organizations that showed up and walked with me was the Little Haiti BK, Stephanie, and the Brooklyn Chamber. So it was nice to have those organizations there. I thought it was extremely successful, and I'll tell you why. We only get the chance, unfortunately, to walk on one side of the street because what we were trying to do was, because there's so much traffic over there and there's so much going on, we wanted to stay on the left-hand side of the street heading towards Flatbush Avenue. And what we found was that there were a lot of business owners there that were pretty eager to talk to us, which I was very happy about. We had some eye care places that were there over 30 years, and some other or other stores that were there as well that had been there 20 years, etc. But what they said was, which I always find fascinating, is that they all say that no one generally comes down that way. No one comes and talks to them, and they're eager to talk about some of the issues. So what they wanted us to do at some point, even later, is to talk more intimately and have a quick sit down with us, which is what we do anyway, is the on-site visit. So we're going to try and schedule some of those for the rest of this month, of course, into May, and whenever we can do for June as well, as much as we can do, because we those are very valuable, and we're able to really pinpoint and hold it and show exactly how we can facilitate helping them, and by putting together with some agencies and other organizations and funding groups and all of that. So but they really appreciated that, and we spent a lot of time. Actually, it was probably one of the colder days that we went out. I think the days leading up to it, it was somewhere around 60, even it's about 70 degrees. But that day, really, really cold. I think it was up at about 30 degrees, and the wind was blowing. So it wasn't an easy time, but we went through it, and I thought it was successful. So we're working on the one on the one on Utica Avenue. I was hoping to hopefully we see if we can try and get it done this Wednesday, but that's just not going to happen. So we're going to try and see if we can get it done next Wednesday. But starting from Farragut Road all the way down to Church Avenue on Utica Avenue. And that'll generally be at 2 o'clock, and I'll send over the flyer for that as well. We featured two small businesses for April, which I think I sent you guys the small business spotlight that we do, which is more of a sort of a snapshot of the business and the owners as well, and where they are and all of their pertinent information. So we did Lips Cafe and Aunts and Uncles for April. We did do an on-site visit. Some of you attended, I think Sonia, of course, Farah, you were there. We were able to really sit down and kind of talk to the business owners about some of the challenges they're facing. It was really eye-opening, actually, especially at Aunts and Uncles. The business networking breakfast is still delayed, guys. It is, I can tell you, it is not me. They've kicked us. Now we're looking at May. So that's kind of where we are. I should know something this week on the date in May. I know it's pushing up against the Sumptuous Sampler event as well as East Flatbush Restaurant Week. And we were talking about doing a small business expo. I don't know feasibly how we can do the small business expo unless we get our partners who want to do this with us at the mayor's office and Councilmember Farrah Lewis, if they want to do a lot of the heavy lifting, because there's so much involved in all the other events that we trying to put on. It's going to be difficult to do both the expo and the small business and the business networking breakfast in the same month. It's going to be it's going to be tight. So we'll have to see about that, but we'll talk about that, and we can talk about that tonight as well to see if it even makes sense to do either of those events. And then we have the Sumptuous Sampler event. We need to be starting those conversations, guys. I mean, and this is with the subcommittee. There's a lot we have to actually go over, because with this being a very difficult year for some of our businesses, we need to be talking and figure out a way that we can be very targeted, specifically to our small business owners, in ways, and kind of think outside the box beyond a small, beyond a Sumptuous Sampler event. We've got to figure out a way how we can get a bigger draw to these small business owners to sort of say, hey, if you do this and you donate your signature dishes and all of that, the return on what they're getting back must be significant enough where they can say, yeah, I think we need to do this and we should do it, and that kind of thing. So we'll see how that works out. Okay. And lastly, certainly not least, sorry, I've got two things. Lastly, East Flatbush Restaurant Week, which usually is not really a hard thing. I mean, most of that is really just promoting East Flatbush Restaurant Week and trying to drive clients or customers into those businesses that have participated in the Sumptuous Sampler event, as some of the Commerce Committee members know who've dealt with me and worked on this event for a long time. So that's not going to be such a heavy lift. It's just trying to get the media. We got to figure out ways to think outside the box and get more draw in terms of that as well. And then lastly, I did get an update on the Double XL event space that has been plaguing the residents over there on East 49th Street, and certainly I shared this with Marguerite. I got reached out by the attorney who is representing the NYPD, and he had actually reached out to me because he had gotten the letter that we had sent, right? So we have gotten 2 responses, one from the attorney for NYPD, and certainly we've got a response email from the Inspector Rachel Kozak of the 67th Precinct. I haven't heard back from any of our electeds yet, but I probably should hear something back shortly. But we did get some response and found out that we thought that the hearing was last week or April 3rd, but come to find out it actually wasn't April 3rd, it was April 16th, which is tomorrow. So he was calling really to sort of get some background, fill in the blanks kind of thing on what the real issue is over there beyond the letter. And I was able to fill in some certain things on there as well. He had asked me if there was any of the residents who'd be willing to really just talk about some of the things that they've experienced as well prior to obviously the hearing tomorrow. And I know that I gave him Marguerite's information, and Marguerite said that she knows that at least 1 or 2 other residents that would be willing to talk to this gentleman. So tomorrow should be the day, and he's actually going to go in to literally just provide the judge with an update that from their October 24th hearing that they had, where they had asked that the judge to close them down, but the judge didn't do that, and the judge had allowed them to. It was more of a corrective time period, where they would have enough time to correct any infractions or anything of that sort. Obviously, they haven't done that. We've had shootings, we've had stabbings, and they're still serving and pouring alcohol and all the other things that they're doing. So he's going to go in tomorrow to see if he can get them shut down based upon what they said that they were going to do in October that they have not done, and they violated that. So let's see if fingers crossed on that. I'll have Marguerite, because I think she may have spoken to the attorney as well. I'll have her fill in the blanks on that as well. A little later, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up on where we were with that as well. And certainly just wanted to mention, welcome Cheryl Saunders as well. I see Hazel has joined, and Jespi Laura Menges. Maybe I'm not saying that right. Jepsy, is Jepsy, are you one of the business owners?
No, I'm just a member of the community.
Okay,
It's
just member of the
Gypsy.
community. Gypsy, yes. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. I want to thank you for being here as well. Okay. I just want to make sure we've got you guys on here. Okay, great. So, any questions, guys, on any of the things that I just mentioned? No, that's a first.
Yeah,
I'm actually shocked.
Hassan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
yes. Yeah. Quick question is regarding the name that when they changed from to XL.
Yes, sir.
Double XL. Is this still the same owner, or did they sell it? I just want to be clear on that.
According to Marguerite, she says that it's a different owner and that the owners might be Spanish. But I
can answer that actually.
You can? Okay.
Yeah. So obviously the owner of the building is Bracci Holding. He rents it to this guy who's had the business there, Lotus Lounge, for however many years that was. They changed that person changed the name to XXL Event Space, and now he sublets it, sort of rents it out to this other person who seems to be Hispanic, so it's like a different crowd of people going in there with different music. But I'm not sure if that's constant, so they may both be using the space. I don't know. Detective Skinner might know more about what's going on in there. But I know he is subletting it to someone else.
So
Okay.
technically, it's the same guy from when Lotus Lounge was there. That's leased it from Brashi.
Yeah,
Okay,
it sounds
thank
like
you.
it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
thanks.
Sounds like
Thank you.
Miss Bellin, you said you had your hand up, I think, as well. Thought I saw you.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment in terms of trying to shut down somebody's business. I don't think we should be trying to shut down anybody's business. I think we should try to have the people follow rules and guidance and work with the community. When you shut down someone's business, you're taking away the person's livelihood. You taking away other people's employment. I don't think that's what we should be doing. If the person is violating the law, then we can complain about that and get corrective measures. But to shut down somebody's business is not right.
Well, that's one of the things you have to do when they're violating the law. How do you make them stop it if you don't shut down the business? They're breaking the law.
Because you have dialogue. You have dialogue. We write, we complain, we get the government agencies involved to talk to these people, make sure they have what they need to have and stop doing whatever that they're doing. But to just say we should just try and shut them down, I don't think that's right.
Well, the point is that we have given them the chance. The judge didn't shut them down, and they continued to serve alcohol and sell alcohol without a liquor license. So what is the next step? The next step would be that they need to be shut down. Or I don't know what else do.
If it's an illegal business that's putting our community in danger and they are not willing to cooperate, then they don't need to be here. Because I don't need my family walking by a place that is going to endanger their life, don't care about making any changes to cooperate with the community. And they are selling alcohol illegally. They don't have a license to sell alcohol. So basically, that's the same thing as saying a drug dealer should not be arrested because that's his livelihood. Because
that's
it's
not what
something
I'm
illegal.
saying. That is not what I'm saying.
It's illegal business.
Hang on, guys. Hang on a second. Hang on. I've got to interject here because I see where this is going. And Ms. Bellin, I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much for that. And certainly both George and Marguerite, I also appreciate what you guys are saying. But we won't litigate this here, okay? Just hang on to those thoughts. What I want to do is certainly not spend a lot of time on this because we do have our business owner that's graciously appeared, for us early. So I want to make sure that we are giving him the time, Jason, the time from Pepper's Jerk Chicken, the time that he needs. But before we do any of that, I thank you guys for that. Okay, but we're going to get back into that. Just hold on to those. Okay. I want to do very quickly the approval of the minutes. But Farah, I think we should have quorum now. At least I think we do. Let's see, I think we do. We've got. Yes, we do have quorum. Farah, can you confirm that we have quorum? I think we have quorum though.
Give me 1 second while I do the final count.
Yeah, I think we do though, or at least close to it if we got. But so I guess in the meantime, while Farah's confirming that, have everyone received the minutes for March? And if you have received it, have you read the minutes for March?
Yes.
All right. One person.
No, I received them also.
Okay, great. All right. Khadija, Hazel, Cheryl.
I don't believe we have quorum because it seems like we only have 8 members present.
Oh, we only have 8. Okay. All right. So let's table the approval of the minutes for now, and see if we can get some folks to chime in. If if we can maybe even grab, is there a way for you to contact some members, Farah, while we're doing what we do, just to remind them to be on? I don't see Allison on here or any of our other usual folks, but if there's a way you can do that, that would be great, because we definitely want to make sure that we reach quorum, because we have to. I want to make sure. I don't want Sam Peppers to have to come back to us next month because we couldn't reach quorum. So, but let's go into. So we'll table the approval of the minutes for right now. Okay.
Do you see
yeah.
Adele?
I don't see
there?
Adele. I don't see Adele. No, she's not here yet.
I'm going to text her.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see Adele on here at all. I don't see Jabril. Jabril's not on here. I'll text him really quick.
Yeah, I'll text her there.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's go into this. So let me just make sure to see other than Sam Peppers, Jason from Sam Peppers Jerk Chicken. I just want to make sure we don't have anybody else that we haven't missed in terms of the business owners. So is Oasis New York Event Space on? Oasis New York Event Space, are you guys on? Okay, seems like no. And Richard's Restaurant and Grill Inc. Richard's Restaurant and Grill Inc. No? Okay. So what we have this evening, I mean, unless they come on, what we have this evening is Mr. Jason from Sam Peppers Jerk Chicken Express Inc. at 689 Utica Avenue. And this is a renewal application for a liquor, wine, and beer and cider license renewal. So, Mr. Jason, if you don't mind, sir, unmuting yourself and tell us a little bit about your business and certainly give us a quick presentation, and then we'll ask you some questions, okay?
Hi, how everybody doing? With Pepper's Jerk Chicken, we have multiple restaurants across New York City. We have about 5 different liquor licenses in 5 different community board areas. For the most part, we haven't had any problems or any issues. It's because we first got this license in the pandemic, so this is our first renewal. And we just been in the community. We've been at Utica for about 10 years. We're on Flatbush for another 25. So I would say we're like a pillar in the community. We hire from the community. We have a lot of employees that we pay every week. So we're just here to get a renewal.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us about your menu, the size of your business, you know, that kind of thing? Because I mean, I know you guys, right? And I know who you are, but there might be we do have some new members that don't know your business, Jason. So if you could fill in those blanks, that would be great.
For the most part, we're a Jamaican restaurant. We've been in business for over 25 years. We specialize in jerk chicken, fish, festivals, rice and peas, everything that you can name it, oxtail. We sell that. We've been in this location for going on 10 years now.
Yes, sir.
And it's been a blessing, God's blessing. Just want to keep it going.
Okay. All right. Great. Anything else? Is that it before we start the questions?
Yes.
Okay, great. Are there any questions for Mr. Jason at Sam Peppers Jerk Chicken Express? From the committee, that is.
I have a question.
All right, Marguerite. Right ahead.
Yeah, I just have one question. You have another location, you said, on Flatbush Avenue?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have the same kind of license there for just beer, wine, and cider?
No, we don't have it at that location, but we have the closest location that we have it to is 8021 Flatlands Avenue, Canarsie.
Okay. Oh, so you have 2 other locations there.
We have about 10 locations, but we have about
10 locations.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have, but other locations have licenses for.
We have one in the Lower East Side, which is one of the hardest areas to get a liquor license. We have that for about 5 years now. We have one in Canarsie, we have one in Queens, and then this one in Utica.
Okay, but then the other ones don't. I'm just curious, why don't you have them in the other locations?
The other locations are too small to require to have liquor. And they're mostly takeout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it.
no problem.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Jason in the committee?
This is Hazel Martinez. I'd like to, is it Utica takeout as well?
We have sit down now. We've renovated, so we have sit down
Okay.
as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from the committee?
Excuse me, I have a question. I passed your restaurant and I'm embarrassed to say I haven't tried it yet because I feel it might be too peppery. Is it the case, or do you have a blend of different?
No, like the jerk chicken is basically mild. The sauces now will add the spice or the sweetness to it, but we make everything mild.
Hi, I just want to say Jamaican mild, not the same. So spicy.
It's
You gotta add a little ketchup, a little barbecue to tone it down. Then.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna try it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've had their food before. It's good, actually. It's definitely good.
And it's mild.
Yeah, it is mild. It is not bad at all.
Exactly where is it located?
Sorry?
Exactly where is the location? That is I'm sorry.
Oh, 689 Utica Avenue.
That's between Utica, between Clarkson and Lenox, besides the McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any last questions for Mr. Jason?
Yes, a quick question. This is George.
Yes, sir, George.
Now that you have a sit down, what's the capacity?
Our capacity is about maybe 15 people. It's not that big.
Oh,
yeah.
it's so small, yeah.
Yeah, it's still small.
Okay.
But like we have like the bar stools, the bar counter, and so forth.
I have another question.
Thank you.
Yeah, they do a lot of takeout. I mean, people come in and take out.
Yeah, that I know.
My question is regard to the kitchen area. How big is it? How many stoves or grills that you're gonna put in?
In that location, that it was built with 2 kitchens. So we actually have a kitchen on the 2nd floor, on like the basement level, and we have a kitchen on the top as well.
Okay, so let's say in Utica?
Yes.
Okay, Utica and Clarkson, essentially. All right. You're gonna be cooking, and they're not grilling outside, correct?
No, we're not.
Years ago, and saw a lot of outside grilling on the sidewalk.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, you said you're breaking up, Adele. We couldn't hear you.
I said, let me move to a different room. I said I've been over there when that place is on Clarkson and on Clarkson, and I said I hope all the cooking goes on inside and not on the street outside.
No, all the cooking is done inside.
Yeah, no cooking outside on that I know. Yeah. Okay. And it looks like Farah. It looks as if we have been joined by, just as an FYI, by Jabril. Who else? And of course Adele. So we should have quorum by now.
Yes. I believe we do.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. So, Jason, thank you so much for, going through that exercise with the questions from the committee. So just if you don't mind, hang on just a second, and we're going to take a quick vote. All right. And so we're going to, and that vote only is that we would be recommending that you go on to meet before our general board meeting, which is tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. at SUNY Downstate, where that's where the full board will vote, obviously, whether you can get your letter of recommendation and that kind of thing. Okay, so hang on just a second, all right, and we'll do that. So, board members, before we do our approval of minutes, I want to, since we have the gentleman here, and I don't want to keep him any longer than we need to, can we take our vote?
Hey,
Yes.
can we get the police report? Because you didn't
Oh, sorry.
mention it.
Yeah, because I was looking for that. I had asked. Thank you for reminding me about that. Hang on a second. Oh, here we go.
And I'd like to see the food handling license.
Yes, give me a second.
Hey, Hassan, it's Detective Skinner. There's nothing to report, Hassan.
Yeah, I was looking at it. There is nothing to report on that. So that is from for a year. We always ask for a year, from 4/15 last year to 4/15 this year, and there are no incidents at that location at all.
Food handling license, Department of Health certification.
Sorry?
Department.
Adele, you're really breaking up. I don't know if you're in a bad location because I could barely make out every other word.
Don't want to hear me anyway. I said, food handling license, Department of Health certification.
Are you asking that question to me or are you asking it to the gentleman?
For him, he presented. If we agree already on a list of things that these people are supposed to bring, it seems we forgotten.
Yeah, all of that information comes to the board office when his application comes in, so he does have that. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, a lot came before us and didn't have it, and it still came before us. They said they're going to get it later. I don't know, do they have one in the current? Or do they have any violations?
No, well, there's none that I saw. I mean, I didn't go in and checked whether or not there are any health code violations on the site against that, but I haven't seen anything. I mean, there's nothing that came over with the paperwork, if that's what you're asking.
Mm-hmm. Then I will be fixing.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, guys, can we now take the vote for San Pepis Jerk? Oh, and we've also been joined by Bree as well. Looks like we definitely have quorum as well. So can we take this vote, ladies and gentlemen? So just if you are in favor, yes, obviously. And I will call out your name. If you are not in favor, then you say no. All right. And if you're abstaining, then you're abstaining. Okay. So I will start with Adele.
Abstain.
Okay. Bree.
I apologize for my tardiness. I have to abstain as well.
Okay. Ms. Bellin. Ms. Bellin?
Yeah.
Say that again, Ms. Bellin. What did you say? Hello, Ms. Bellin. If you're speaking, I can't hear you. All right, I'll come back to you.
I just unmute. I didn't hear what you said. Stepped away for a minute.
Yes. So no, we're voting on basically the committee is voting to approve to send over to allow this to move forward with the general board meeting tomorrow for San Pepis Jerk Chicken Express. Are you voting yes, no,
Yes.
or you're abstaining? All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Cheryl? Ms. Saunders?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay. Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Hazel. All right. And then we have Jabril?
I vote yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Jabril. Nice to have you here. George?
Yes.
All right. Khadija?
Yes.
All right. Marguerite?
Yes.
All right. Sonia?
Sorry, I have to abstain because I walked away for a bit
Mm-hmm.
and I'm suffering from laryngitis, so I have to go get something to drink. So,
No problem.
but I have
No
to
problem.
abstain.
All right, no problem. And Hassan is yes. Okay, I think I've covered everybody. Please, if I have not called your name, committee members, if I have not called your name, please let me know. But I think I've got everybody. So 2, 3, 7, 8. So we've got 8 yes and 3 abstentions. Right? Looks like about, yeah, 3 abstentions. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so 8 yes and 3 abstentions. So we have, he moves forward. Jason, you're moving forward with appearing before our general board meeting tomorrow at Community Board 17, which is at 395 Lenox Road. And certainly the meeting will start at 7:30. I will send over an email with the agenda and all of that, so you'll know when you're sort of coming up in the agenda item. Generally, those meetings are pretty long. I just want to let you know, prepare you. So if yeah,
It's on the
sorry.
start at 7.
Sorry, 7 o'clock. Apologies, 7 o'clock. That's right. It does start at 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock. So sorry, same as this meeting here. So typically they run a little long. So gauge your, once you get the email and you have the agenda, certainly take a look at that, and you'll be able to see when's a good time to be there and that kind of thing. Okay, but you'll have to appear before the full board and go through this exercise, and the full board will vote tomorrow as well. All right.
No problem. I see everybody there. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
great.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem. And you have the address. Well, I'll give you the. I'll send over everything. But thank you again. You don't have to stay on. The committee has other work to do. So have a wonderful night. But thank you so much for going through this exercise.
You guys as well. Have a great night.
All right, you too. All right. So thank you guys for doing that. I just want to check to make sure that the owners from Oasis New York Event Space LLC, have you guys joined? And Richard's Restaurant and Grill Inc. Have you guys joined as well? Okay, so we're going to move on. We're moving on to approval of our meeting minutes for March 2025. I think I'd asked everybody earlier, and I'll ask again. Has everybody received the minutes? And if you have received them, have you read them? I'm assuming that since nobody...
I have not seen the minutes.
You have not seen the minutes?
No. I have an agenda, but I didn't see any minutes.
Oh, it's definitely on there. I know that Farah had sent it. And Farah, you'd sent it out to everybody, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I know I'd see it. But okay, so with the exception of Hazel, has everybody else got the minutes?
I did.
I did too. Yeah.
And I did also.
Okay, so we just have to get them over to Hazel. All right. So can I have somebody to please make a motion to accept the approval of our meeting minutes for March 2025?
I didn't see the minutes, Oliver.
Who was that?
Hello.
Okay. And is there any second?
George, take second.
All righty. Thank you guys for that. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. Okay, great. So it seems like we don't have the other two businesses show up tonight, so that's okay. So they will not be moving forward tomorrow at our general board meeting because they have to come before us today. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll reach out. I'll reach out to them to see what happened there. But in the interim, though, what I wanted to do was talk about some of the unfinished business, and I was hoping that Marguerite could sort of, and we got two things tonight because I want to finish up this with Marguerite's and where we are in the process right now, and certainly Detective Skinner, if you have any updates on your end as well, you can jump in there. And then I want to talk about Hazel's all of the things that she has going on Clarendon Road, which have not been addressed and that need to be addressed. So let's talk about that. So go right ahead. Marguerite, you go first, and then I'll ask Detective Skinner if he has any additional updates.
Okay. Well, you kind of said everything up until the point where the lawyer actually got in contact with me and we had a discussion. And he said they had postponed, the hearing was supposed to be last week, but they postponed it to this week. There's a new judge, so hopefully that judge will be more, I want to say that he'll take our side, but that he'll be make more sense in his decision. Because what happened was the other judge they were trying, the lawyer said they were trying to get the place just closed down for a year.
Yep.
But the judge said no, let them, stay open and change, fix whatever they were doing wrong. They didn't do that. So now they're going to go in tomorrow for the hearing. And he wanted to know if I wanted to testify if it goes further than tomorrow's hearing.
Right.
And I'm not sure about that, but I also spoke to one of my neighbors, and we're going to see if some other people want to do that or just give written affidavits or written statements. He said it depends on what the judge, how amenable the judge is to hearing from the community. So that won't happen until after hearing. But now, instead of getting them closed down for a year, because of the fact that they didn't comply, they want to try to have them closed down permanently. And that's really all. There's nothing more to say except that they're still operating.
Yeah, of course.
So they haven't stopped.
Yeah, of course.
And they have, the thing is that they're breaking laws and stuff, but they're trying to close them down under the nuisance abatement.
Yeah.
Law.
Yep.
So there's only certain things, I guess, that he can present. The fact that there's strippers there and possibly prostitution, that's like a whole other thing. So that I think can't be used at this point. I'm not sure what his strategy is.
Okay.
So that's really it. So we're waiting to see what happens tomorrow.
Okay. Fair enough. Detective Skinner, any filling in the blanks issues that you have, sir?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. Tomorrow will be the hearing date for that. Every weekend, every night, our guys, they still do enforcement. They still issue summonses. So hopefully that still helps build the case. This is something that's been going on for a while now. So hopefully, all of that pretty much has a role to play, because I know at a certain point they're going to bring the officers in that are the ones that do the enforcement there. So at a certain point, I know they're going to bring them in to, ask them, what they observed during their business inspections and stuff like that. So hopefully that, we get some type of success from it.
Sure. Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. No, that's cool. Okay. Well,
Hassan, I did actually want to add one more thing. The other thing that when I spoke to the lawyer, if they do comply and get, and there's some kind of agreement reached, I said one of the stipulations has to be that they soundproof the building. Now, hopefully they just close it down. But if
you're breaking up there, Marguerite.
What?
Yeah, but they absolutely have. And I don't think they can be open. Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. But they can't soundproof the building without. Yes. But they can't soundproof the building unless they're closed, is what I was saying.
Oh yeah, well, but right, they'd have to close it to do that. But I mean, that's the stipulation for them to reopen. Yeah.
Right.
But that's giving them opportunity to stay open though. This cannot be trusted.
Right. Right. Well. And this is something before we leave this topic, and this is something that I want to address that Ms. Bellin had brought up, and I understand her position for bringing it up. Right. It's not that we're in the business, and this is something that I want to put on record. It's not that the committee is in the business of closing businesses down. That's not what we do as Commerce. We're here to support our business owners, our business owners who are good neighbors, right? Who respect and treat the community as if it's one of their own. So we definitely support that. I think we do a great job with doing that. But at the same time, we have to balance that with making sure that the community's needs are addressed, right? So if they are experiencing all of the things like valet parking, drugs, shootings, stabbings, guns being hidden in the bushes, and loud music, and all these things, and serving underage minors in the spot, also serving alcohol without a license on multiple occasions. And I mean, this has been documented by the police officers as well, and they've given statements on this. Then what we need to do as a community, I mean, as a Commerce Committee, is support that effort and not necessarily reward those business owners for doing business as they're being terrible neighbors to our community residents. That's not what we do either. So we have to support, and they came to the Commerce Committee with, I think, with legitimate and valid concerns, as indicated by Detective Skinner when he was on as well, and certainly by the attorney. So these are all valid concerns. So but I understand your point, Ms. Bellin, about we're not in the business of closing businesses down. That's not what we want to do. We want to increase the number of businesses, but as long as they're being good neighbors, we cannot. And I don't think, particularly under my watch, that I don't think I've ever sat there and said, hey, I'm going to support this business, and I'm going to watch them destroy the community or destroy the residents' quality of life, and we just continue to go on at business as usual. I don't think we should do that. So that's what prompted me to sort of write the letter in the first place and send it out to the agencies and send it out to our elected officials, because this was such a problem. And remember, that community has been through this before. So this is the second or third iteration that they've gone through this, where they've had business owners who have not cared about their concern, and it's got crazy over there. We can go back to Pulse 48 and all of the stuff that went on there for years, So I don't blame them for being a bit sensitive about this, but I thought we were acting in the best interest of the community in this response, because they are not being very good neighbors. They're doing all these things that are creating decreasing the quality of life and for those business residents. Those residents who live there. And just because I don't live there doesn't mean I don't have empathy and don't feel for them. Because I know if it happened to me and where I lived at, I wouldn't stand for it either. So I get it. But I just wanted to sort of mention that and put that on record, as well, just so we can have a better understanding of it. But I do understand what you're saying, Ms. Bellin. I really do. So with that being said, thank you guys for hashing this out. Thanks for the update from both Ms. Detective Skinner and Marguerite. What I wanted to do was certainly give Hazel. I'm not going to ask you to hash all of the stuff that's going on. I just know everything has not been done. Partly it's been my fault, of course, not being able to have the requisite time that we need to plan the meeting that we talked about at our last 3 meetings. So I was hoping that I know the last time you and I talked was at the mayor's town hall, East Flatbush, is that to give me some dates to see what we can do, because we want to utilize, a Wyckoff Farmhouse, if we can, their meeting room, to pull this together for you, because I think it's well overdue. It's time overdue. And I know you brought those same concerns up to the mayor when you were at the meeting as well.
Yes, and I think that a lot of attention is paid to businesses in this community, but very little is paid to the residents of this community and the negative impact that a lot of them have, them and their customers. And they actually destroy this community and make people want to move. And you find very few that are really cooperative or don't do things that harm the community. And I'm just really tired of it. Really, for me, if I could find somewhere else to live, I would be gone because I'm tired of it.
No, I understand that. Yeah, and I understand her sentiment because she's been living under these conditions, and I mean, and I don't want to go through the myriad of things that she's gone through with the abandonment of cars, the people living in trailers, and the triple and double park.
Let me tell you something. We went to that mayor's thing on Tuesday.
Yes.
And Wednesday morning, those trailers were gone.
Oh, good. Okay, well, that's good. That's a positive. Okay, that's positive. I think that's great.
But why do you have to do that?
Right. Exactly. Why do you have to do that?
Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to live like that? We weren't talking about Chalksville. Why do we have to do that? And why are we forced to live under these conditions while the precinct pays no attention and the people who are causing the ill in this community, they don't live here. They wouldn't tolerate it where they're living, but they expect me to tolerate it.
I agree with that. I agree with that point. I absolutely do. And I hear you. So what I want to get from you tonight, do you have any dates that we, in April? Because I would love to try and see if we can schedule this. I mean, it may be something that we can't schedule for next week, but certainly the week after next.
See, the thing is, you have to, the list of people that need to be there have to be, I mean, they have to be invited.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. So the people that we need to invite, and we talked about this, right? And I can go over it. Yeah, and so I have the list. So but do you have a date on? Okay. That you'd like to do it?
And my calendar is very busy, and so
that's what I'm asking you.
22nd free. I have the 22nd free.
I'm asking you for a date, lady. What is the problem?
I'm telling you, the 21st, the 22nd, want those? I can make them happen.
You think we can get all of those agencies down there by that date?
Because
you think it's possible?
Okay. Excuse me. Do you think
it's possible to get them down there by that date?
I don't think that, I mean, I don't expect 100% attendance because they don't really care. But I have, you know, the following week you would have to go into May because I'm really kind of busy.
No, I'm not.
I have May 5th, May 6th, May 8th, all of that whole week is pretty open.
Yeah, well, May 5th is Cinco de Mayo, so you don't want to do anything on that because people will probably be too drunk. So we want to do that. But what we could do is, well, I was trying to, you don't think we can do something in like April 29th?
I have training to go. That's why I didn't choose that day.
So what about, so the 30th is out too?
Yes, I have let me see, I can't even read what I wrote. I have an event from 10 to 5.
Oh, you have an all-day event. Okay. So you're looking at May as a possible. So we can't do May 5th. So May 5th is definitely out. We won't be able to do that because that's Cinco de Mayo. Ain't nobody coming to that. I'm telling you right now. So
May 6th, May 8th,
May 6th May 6th might be a doable date.
Okay, fine.
All right. Okay. So so just as an FYI, and I'm glad this is on record, we have a date for May 6th. I will reach out to Wyckoff House to see if we can have the places available for that date. And we were looking at, you said you were looking at the afternoon, right? You were looking at, or the morning?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to split the difference and try to do it maybe like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock? Okay. So let's do that. Let's try and do 2 o'clock because that'll give people, that'll give people. Okay, great. So I do have the list from you. So I do have the agencies that we need to contact as well. And we'll also invite our elected officials so that they're there. But okay, good. So then we can we obviously know what all the issues are because you were kind enough to put them in your email. Would you like me to share that email with the rest of the committee so they're aware as well?
I have no problem with that.
Okay. So guys,
Can I ask? Yeah. Can I make a suggestion? When you go in to ask the Wyckoff for the date, I think you should go in with more than just the one day.
Yeah, you're probably right. I probably will. I'll have a backup date.
Yes.
So we're looking at the 6s that we'd like to have the 6, but let's see. The next date would be, we can probably do the 7th as well as a backup date if they can't do either.
I have something on the 7th, so it's the 8th or the, it's the 8th or the 9th. Okay.
Let's try and do the 8th, because when people start getting into Friday, it's not going to be.
Yeah, it's not.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So either May 6th or May 8th. Perfect. Great.
Right.
All righty. So we got that date, and we will work on that, and we'll get the emails out. And I'll send over Hazel's email as well for everybody. Okay. So lastly, before because I don't want to keep you guys on here, but we definitely have to talk about this. So I mentioned in my chairperson's report about the business networking breakfast, which we talked about, which we've been trying to do since February. And because SUNY Downstate, because of the location, we've been pushed out a little bit. But we're looking at May as a potential date for that. And also the Small Business Expo that I was in conversation with the mayor's office and Councilmember Lewis's office would like to do. So with that being said, can we kind of talk a little bit about whether or not you think it's plausible for us to do both events, number one, given that we have also the Sumptuous Sampler event in June and East Flatbush Restaurant Week as well. So I wanted to sort of walk through this to see if that makes sense, or if it doesn't, or if we had to pick one, which one would that be at this point?
What is the date of breakfast?
Oh, the breakfast. Well, that's the thing. We've been pushed out quite a bit. So I don't have a date yet in May. That's the problem. I don't have a date in May. So but if we do it, we can't do it. I don't think that we would have enough time to do it the first week of May. So if we did it, it would probably be, it would probably be the second week of May or something like that. And given the fact that it's in the morning anyway, so it could be either May 12th or May 13th. But given the fact that it's in the morning, so it's from 8:30 to 11 a.m., so it doesn't really, tie up your entire day. But, yeah.
Well, what is Hazel Martinez? For me, I'm working on the tax lien sale. And so I'm not really, I have a lot of dates tied up with that. And like the 12th is the council members event at the Y about me going in the tax lien sale.
Oh, it is. Oh, shucks. Is it?
Yeah.
I thought that was the 14th. Oh boy, golly. Okay. Okay. So that couldn't be a date anyway that we can work with. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. Anybody else, guys? Bree, Miss Bellin, Cheryl, Jabril, George.
Just weighing in on the date is what.
Well, yeah, I think what I'm actually asking you guys is whether or not it makes sense to do both events, which because both of them would have to be in May at this point. The Business Networking Breakfast, right? And that would be at SUNY Downstate, and then the Small Business Expo that we've been trying to do as well. But we have sort of a tentative date for that. But that would be at a different location. It's not going to be at SUNY Downstate. It'll be at one of the event spaces. I think I had asked Tracy Cameron at K&L Manor to host us for that event, and she said it was okay. So, but I think my point I was asking is whether or not it made sense to do both of the events in May, given the fact that we're going to be doing the Sumptuous Sampler event and East Flatbush Restaurant Week in June. Would that be too much?
It sounds like
too much.
It sounds
Yeah,
like it's
and we just didn't want to run.
Okay. So with that being said, what would that event be? So would it be the Business Networking Breakfast? Now, the Business Networking Breakfast is a good event. Problem is, it is a lot of moving parts because, number one, you've got to grab your agency heads, number one, right? And then you also have to provide breakfast, which involves our local vendors. In this case, it would be either Footprints and or Bamboo Walk, right? So that's the piece that we would really talk about. So there's a little bit more moving parts with that. The Small Business Expo is more of a vendor, sort of getting the small business owners there, primarily getting them to have their table and bring their wares, and then bring the community into that space, and that kind of thing. So, what do you think?
I would vote for whatever is going to have the most impact. I would think that highlighting vendors in the community and allowing them the opportunity to, share whatever their products are, whatever it is, could be more impactful than networking. But I could be standing alone. I'm willing to listen to anyone else who has an opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also leaning towards the Business Expo. I think that would give them a little more chance to expose themselves rather than, yeah.
Anyone else?
Right now, with the climate and what I see, it's very difficult to get people involved. I would suggest working and partnering with other people rather than just doing it by ourselves.
Well, we would be partnering with the mayor's office, and we would be partnering with Councilmember Lewis's office. So we wouldn't be working in our silo by ourselves. What we would ask them to do is lean on them heavily for to get the word out about outreach, number one, and also to help with pulling in the vendors, particularly our young vendors as well. Both of them, the mayor's office and Councilmember Lewis's office has experience with that in the community about local vendors. So we have it as well, but with all of us working together, it's not as a heavy lift for us as a committee.
That sounds more reasonable. Yeah.
I have a question in regards to just the logistics. Which one, out of those two events, which one was the most time consuming, and which one had the most in participation in attendance?
Well, I've never done, and we've talked. It's interesting you bring that point up, because this is a good point that you bring up. The Small Business Expo is not something that I've done under my chairmanship as a chair. What we've done in the past, and some of the members can attest to this, is that we've combined the two. In other words, we would have the small business networking event, right? Small business networking breakfast event, and we invite some vendors to come in and the vendors would be someone who is supporting small businesses like New York Small Business Services or the Brooklyn Chamber or some other organization that has loan information, that kind of thing. So it was that thing that we've combined it in the past, but it's never been strictly a small business expo vendor spot. We've never had that. So, and with that being said, Khadija, was that the business networking breakfast has always been a big draw for the small business owners, as well as the agencies and some of the vendors as well.
And the other one?
Yes, the other one.
And what about the other one?
Oh, the other one. The Small Business Expo. We've never done it as a single event for the Commerce Committee. You get what I'm saying, Khadija?
So you have the expo and then you have the networking. That's right. So why can't you just combine them as one event?
Right, we could, and that's what I'm trying to get the committee to talk about this evening, whether or not it makes sense to do that. I'm in favor of that. I don't have a problem with doing that. I think that's a good idea, because we don't have to do, like, if we decide, okay, if we sit down with the mayor's office and Councilmember Lewis's office and say, look, I need you guys to get these number of small businesses there, right? And then we'll work on the vendor piece where we get the breakfast, trying to work that out, and we'll get the data involved. So each partner will do their part to make the event a success. And in combining that, I think that would be a great idea if we get everybody to help do that. If we get our partners to be able to do that.
The last question I do have for you is that, based on the meetings that you've had in going into these locations, what
Yes,
has
ma'am.
been their biggest gripe, right? If they've been complaining saying, hey, these are our concerns, let's take some of the stuff that they mentioned as their issues and now bring it forward as providing them with solutions.
What has been their biggest gripe? I mean, well, there are so many of them, but I think the ones, and the committee, you guys can help me if I'm wrong on this. Leasing has always been, commercial leasing has always been a huge problem for the small business owners because a lot of them don't own the business that the building that their business is in. That's a huge situation right there. The rising cost of operating expenses, of course. The fact that they're being, or what they felt they were being, overly regulated. In other words, they were being fined and all this kind of stuff. They complained about that. Now with that being said, this is a caveat, is that some of the business owners brought that on themselves. So if they had did what they were supposed to do to stay in compliance, they wouldn't have that problem. Just to kind of give you an idea. And then, of course, there are other issues around outreach and generating more revenue and marketing and public relations. A lot of the same stuff that we hear when we go sit down with when we go do our small business walkthrough, or even when we sit down with our on-site visits, are all the same types of questions that come up and challenges that these business owners are telling us. That make sense?
It does. I was just hoping that we could have had something like some type of report based off all these walkthroughs, like what's been the data analysis that has come up for CB17. What does that look like? Where do we need to focus on? And kind of have that report that since we are doing these walkthroughs, that you give them something that's an annual report of what actually works, what doesn't work.
Right.
And then also, because I feel like we are becoming more AI inspired, how we can incorporate AI into some of these businesses so that they can be a little bit more innovative in the process, which will help them include their marketing. Those are things that I think are solutions that we can come up with.
Right.
But I think the biggest problem is that we still want to do these old-fashioned ways of outreach, and we got to start thinking more innovative.
Right. And you know what? You are completely 100%, 1,000% right on that. It's one of the things that continuously comes out of these business walkthroughs, and it's more prevalent. And Farah, you went on the last ones that we did with both Lips Cafe and Aunts and Uncles. You've heard it firsthand, some of the challenges they have. And you're absolutely right. They continue to have these issues, but because we're there to kind of get the information, what we try to do, at least what I think I try to do, and I think the committee does, is that we try to address some of their more immediate needs right then, but do a follow-up. And I don't think we've done a good follow-up with it, where we should actually go back and say, hey, listen, we met with you on this date, and I know you talked about some of the things, but here is what the committee solutions is, or what we came up with, and who we think you could talk to about other things and ways we can help you and that kind of thing. So I agree with you 1,000%. I completely agree with you. It's something that I've always think that if we don't innovate, we're going to perish on, we've got to, because technology is here. Some of our business owners do it very well, some of them not so well, and some of them don't have an infrastructure in place at all to do it. And that's another problem, So I hear you. I hear you.
Because Hassan, some of these business owners, at least in the past, they don't even have emails.
I know they don't. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Talking to them about that and just getting them to do that simple thing is key to even developing a website, all this stuff, all this free information that's out here that can help them with that, right? They don't have in place. Even the more sophisticated restaurants that are in our community don't do a very good job up with that. I mean, we sat with Bamboo Walk. Hazel, you and I sat with Bamboo Walk and we went over to Lily's restaurant, so you know. They don't have, even though they do marketing, it's not very sophisticated, you know. They don't have a dedicated person that they can say does their public relations to the community or any of that stuff. They're just doing it. They have a family member or a daughter or son that's good at social media or whatever. And they're not thinking, they know that they have to do it, but there's nothing in place for them to do it. And I think that's where we need to come in, because we should be able to provide a lot more recommendations and a lot more solutions for these business owners, which we have not done yet. And that's not a very good job anyway. So I agree with you. You have my full support, and I am taking back the data that we get from these small business owners, and I would like to put together a small report by the end, at least before we convene for the year, and say, listen, we've done all of these things, and we've met all of these business owners, and these are some of their chief primary things, and this is what the data, what we've got from it, and what solutions that we could offer them, and that kind of thing, and who we put them together with, and all of that. Just put the report together. So I agree with you, 100%. 100%. So what it sounds like, guys, is that we're going to try, if we're going to do this, then we should combine the Business Networking Breakfast and the Small Business Expo as one event. Am I right? That's what it sounds like?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if that's what it sounds like, then I'll pull together our partners to see if we can do that, and how they can help us with that. And I'd like if we can also schedule a commerce subcommittee meeting over the next week or two. These are some things that we have to start talking about, but we also have to start planning for our sumptuous sampler event, East Flatbush Restaurant Week. So.
Hassan, if we're going to combine the events, why does it have to be a breakfast? Considering working people, and we're trying to get the public involved.
Well, the reason why it is because these are business owners and they're small business owners. What we found it worked out really well was that they're generally up early, you know, starting their day. They prefer that time frame from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. to 11.
And they don't care to have the public involved. They don't want the public.
No, they do, because the public comes out. The public, it's a well-attended event. We've had people come out, and the committee could tell you. I mean, George and Marguerite, Hazel, and all those guys, they could tell you. We've had very successful events where we've had hundreds of people in the event. I mean, so it's not an issue about that. They will come out if we do the event, but we have to make it a bigger draw enough for the agencies and you know, and all of that. I think I just think it makes sense. If we're going to do it, let's do it that way. But if we do it, it has to be done in May, and it cannot be, you know, we just have to make sure that we do it. But we'll talk about that, I think, in the subcommittee level. So I'd still like it to be at SUNY Downstate if we can, because I think that room is big enough to be able to accommodate all of that, and they have enough room on the outside where the vendors could be. I think there's enough room. I can't remember if I'm looking at that glass partition. There's enough room for some small business owners with some tables to be around there and all of that, in addition to having our where we serve the breakfast. So we can figure all that out, but we'll talk about that at the subcommittee level. Okay. So subcommittee, you guys know who you are. I'll send over some dates. Let me know what dates work for you. If the weekend works better. I think we used to do our meetings on a Sunday afternoon or something. I don't know. Seem to work for some people, but not others. But we'll have to work on that. But I'll send over some dates, and you guys, hopefully, you'll be able to respond to me on that. Okay. So just want to make sure that we get all that taken care of. Are there any questions about that before we move on to our last two items on the agenda? Actually, we covered. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, I just want to bring up a point that I don't know if we having difficulties getting downstate. Would it be possible would you consider one of these venues like K&L, one of those? Because I remember we had that the business networking breakfast when we had it at Tropical Paradise. I think that was very successful over there too. So,
yep.
In case we can get, because I know there's a lot of logistics in getting the approval at downstate.
Yeah,
and, so if not, maybe you could consider one of those venues also.
Yeah, I'm open to that. I'm open to that because K&L Manor has a wonderful space. I mean, it's it's large enough. It's definitely large enough, so we can. It's big enough, so we don't have a problem with that. So I'm more than happy to do that. And I think, and actually thinking about it now, because I was going to wait until I spoke to Alicia, but because when she told me it was pushed to May, and then she didn't give me a date in May. That was the other thing. That was the other problem. So I think I'm more quick to get a date for K&L Manor in May than SUNY Downstate at this point. So I think what I think we should do is I'll reach out to K&L Manor tomorrow and talk to Tracy to see if we can get a date in May and just work on that, because we know that the venue that we have will be big enough. So it's not going to be a problem with that. And they have tables and chairs at K&L Manor, so it wouldn't be a problem also, so they have enough with that. So we'll just have to figure that out. But I will do that tomorrow anyway, and let's just go forward, and let's pull the mayor's office involved and the council member's office, and let's get this done. Is that cool, guys?
Fine with me.
All right, awesome, great. Well, I don't want to belabor the point anymore. I see it's 8:28, but we covered a lot of that stuff in unfinished business. Is there anything else before I ask for an adjournment that we should be discussing really quick?
No, I would like to just make a comment, Hassan.
Yeah.
Did you notice? I don't. If anybody noticed that was at the town hall meeting, that 2 days after the town hall meeting. So the town hall meeting was on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, the mayor announced that they were setting up a quality of life commission with the NYPD. And I'm wondering, I just think it's ironic that I wonder if it had anything to do with our town hall meeting.
Could have been.
Or if that was already in the works.
Could have been. It probably came out because it came out, I mean, one thing about our community, particularly over here, is in East Flatbush, we are not people who are shy to speak our minds, right? So we gave the mayor, for those who were there at the town hall, gave the mayor a really good earful. For those who weren't there, your representation of the community was well placed. Believe me, people came out and they talked about the issues. So you would not have to go, you don't have to worry about the quality of life in this community and the issues that are going on not talked about at that meeting, and the mayor hearing it directly, because it was well done, I think. So but it might have had.
Do you think it had to do with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because you guys were very. I mean, I thought it was great. Tell you the truth, I thought it was great, and it was fantastic because everything was just coming out organically, the way it was happening, and I thought it was just awesome. And then of course, with Allison's question towards the end, along with Ms. Daly, and them wrapping a lot of that stuff up, I think that put them kind of like on notice as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, and she was giving them solutions, so I thought it was great. I really do. So yes, and to answer your statement, I think they did do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I think it was great.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, guys, I think I just had one. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
It's one thing to say. I would be remiss if I don't say something about this. I was quite disappointed at the last board meeting, the way the community concerns were ignored regarding the weed shop. And if the board members are not going to they're there supposedly to represent the community, but I don't see it any longer. And it was quite disappointing for people to feel intimidated, or for the community block association that spoke, members that spoke, to be totally ignored. And I think there has to be some change in this whole format because people need to be able to, at least they need to know how people feel about certain things, the community, and they're the residents that are going to live right around it.
Yeah,
And I was very disappointed by that.
I hear you, and I thank you for putting that on the record as well. You know, there were a number of, well, you guys know because we were in the committee together, but there were a number of delays that happened, and then there was some confusion about whether or not it was 2 locations or 2 of them come, all this stuff. So but I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I know that the cannabis licenses has been a contention in the community since it's been now legalized. And I don't think the state has done a great job in putting that information out to the community and how to, the Office of Cannabis Management, and how to sort of be able to regulate that. And there's been a whole lot of stuff happening, right, about it. But the community seems like there's not a lot, there's still a lot of stigmatism attached to it. And I always breathe, I always have to go, whenever it comes up before the committee, I know it's going to be an issue, and no matter who comes up before the committee, because of the way the committee reacts to it. But we've got to, maybe this is something that we as Commerce Committee could maybe sort of help educate the community around it a little bit better, around that kind of stuff. Okay. But yes, I agree with this whole thing here recently, the way things were done. I mean, I said what I was up there saying. I wasn't able to vote, and I didn't vote. But, you know, the chair had the floor and he was doing what he was doing. So, you know, yeah.
And you also didn't see how he was responding to board members.
He's bullying.
And that can't happen again. And hopefully it gets addressed at the board meeting. I hope that gets addressed at the board meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's I hear you because you told me later. I was up at the podium, so I didn't see any of that stuff. So, but you know, hopefully, I know that the chair is aware of what happened, and you know, I'm sure he'll address it tomorrow.
But the other
we'll go from
problem
there.
is, Hassan, that
Yes,
when it
ma'am.
comes to these licenses, I don't feel that the board members have enough information. Years ago, you used to get, when I was a board member, you would get that information ahead of time. I would get a packet at my home and I would read and make sure that I knew what was what. Board members are sitting there voting yes. They have no idea what they're really voting on or where these places really are.
Right. So in answer to your question, this is something that we have wrestled with as a committee, and we know that. We in the past, what we've done is create a questionnaire that we've left out for our business owners. I left out for the board members and given them sort of a questionnaire, not a questionnaire, but a glossary or of rules and regulations for that. We have created a pamphlet, which I actually need to send out to you guys. So apologies, I was supposed to send out at the last meeting. I completely forgot. So I'm writing that down. I have to send it out. This was a few years back. We did a pamphlet, guys, of the SLA. It was actually a really good pamphlet, right? And I don't know if you remember, but I'll send it out to you. It has all of the information about the SLA and what licenses, what you can and cannot do. It talks about the 200-foot rule, the 500-foot rule, whatever it is. So it talks about all of that stuff in that. So I'm going to send that to you. I promise. I will send it to you. You have time to take a look at it. I do think it's something that we can send to the entire board because it is a wealth of information that's in there. It's something that we worked on a few years back. Even we did that before COVID, I think. Yeah, we did that before COVID. So we've had it for a while, and we've given it out at our board meetings for community board. But I don't think, since we've changed so much with new board members, I know that they don't have it anyway. So that's something that we could do on our end. We have control over that, so I can send it to you guys. If it's something that we need to tweak in there, we can do that before sending it out to everybody. So I will have you guys take a look at it. But you will definitely get a lot of information in that pamphlet because we put it together like that. All right. Is that cool?
Yes, well, Hassan, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is not you, but part of what Hazel was saying is basically that in the past, the community was allowed to speak. Like, for instance, if someone comes for a liquor license, and the people who lives on that block, they are more familiar with what's happening.
Right.
But in the old days, they were able, the Black Association were able to come and speak. But since the Rudy's, what you call it, administration, they cut that out. So people, and I personally have argued with Rudy about this a lot of times, that you need to let the people in the community speak, because we are not aware. Sometimes we're not aware of what's happening on that block.
Yeah.
So I think maybe in a committee you could mention in your executive board meeting that there's been complaints that the community is not allowed to speak, at the board meeting, especially when it comes to licensing and all that.
Sure, I don't have a problem with that. I think having the community speak is something that I think is a vital part of what we do.
Yes.
I don't know why we've shifted a little bit away from that. I think it might have something to do with the fact of efficiency. But even if we allow that, we just have to make sure that it's efficient. We just have to timing and all of that. You can do all of those things and still get the community's voice heard. And I think that's important because we are a community board after all. That is who we are representing. And if the community doesn't feel like they have a voice, then why would they come to our meetings? Why would they participate in all of that? So I agree.
You're calling it a public hearing.
At this last board meeting, I'm sorry, Hazel.
Yeah.
In the last board meeting, there were 3 people that wanted to speak from the neighborhood, and our chair only allowed 1 person to speak. In the interest of time, he said in the interest of time, but I think that was totally unfair because they should have all been allowed to speak, and we should have made some kind of accommodation for that.
Right. Well, I will personally bring it to his attention. I will talk to him about it because I think this is a very valid point, and the community needs to be heard on a number. We've did it before where it actually made a huge difference. If we just look at the Tilden Avenue, where they were proposing the recreation center over there with Miss Turner and her group. If we didn't have the community, we allowed the community to come out and voice their opinion and gave us a really good picture of why they didn't want that rec center over there. Am I right? So we were able to, and they had some valid concerns. But if their voices weren't heard, then, it would have ended up there and it would have been a whole big problem. And now we have it over here on Notion and we got more money. So things happen for a reason, but I agree with you guys 100%. So I can definitely talk to Rudy about that.
The issue is though, Hassan, that this community board does not place you can place conditions on these permits that you're approving. We don't place any conditions. Why do we need a drive-through weed shop?
That's right.
And that individual made a lot of people don't know the history of that individual in this community.
Right.
And that is a problem right there, because if they did, they wouldn't vote for that.
Right. Well, I think, and you're right. But again, the chair was in charge. But I hear what you're saying. I definitely hear what you're saying. And you're right that when we've done in the past where we've approved certain licenses only if they met certain conditions, right? And we've actually even monitored them throughout the year to make sure that they were on point with those conditions. So we did that. We did a lot better job with that. So we've kind of gotten away from that as well. But I think we should get back to it. I'm with you guys on that 100% as well. I don't like that. But let's do that. And I think, like I said, I'll send over the pamphlet that I have, and I think even that pamphlet even has questions that you could ask. I think it was
Yeah.
it was a really good pamphlet. So all of the stuff, you guys take a look at that, and then what we can do is I'll talk to Rudy about the communities involved, because I think that's key, and making sure that their voices are heard, and they didn't feel like they were being heard on this one here. I hope he will bring up the whole thing with I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think he knows about what happened at the meeting, so hopefully he'll talk about that as well. And then let's do what we need to do, what we can do better. I mean, you guys all gave me some wonderful and great recommendations, so I think we can. And these are all recommendations that make sense, and we can do it. So let's work on it. We don't have a lot of time. We've got April done, we've got May and June, but we got a lot to do between now and then. But we can get it done. You guys are all on point. And I want to thank all of you for actually staying the course throughout the meeting so far, and actually giving your time to not only the board meeting as well as our committee meeting, as well as and the subcommittee as well, subcommittee members as well. You guys have been great. And also the ones who've been coming out, the committee members have been coming out on the on-site visits and the walkthroughs and all that. I know I'm asking you guys to do a lot outside of your normal stuff. And I would really appreciate that, as well. So thank you for that also. But with that being said, I don't want to keep you guys any longer. So I want to ask somebody to please make an adjournment for our meeting this evening. Anyone at all?
Hi, George. Take a motion.
I have a question.
Oh, Lord. Who's that? Khadija?
Yeah, I had my
What's
hand
happening?
raised for some time
Oh,
being.
sorry, I couldn't see it. I'm on my phone. That's why
It's
I
okay.
apologize. Yes, ma'am.
So here's where I'm listening to what everyone is saying, but then here's where I feel like the pushback is. When the time came when they presented to Commerce, only one person that I recall vocalized concerns, right?
Right.
And that was it, right? It was really one or two people that vocalized concerns. So I feel like, isn't it where if there are all these major concerns that it should be happening in these meetings versus in the public meetings, for the simple fact that the reason why all of this happened, where he's mentioned that we couldn't do these votes, was due to the fact that this was the third time that we didn't have quorum.
Right.
And so it was to just go straight to it because they had already presented.
Right. Yes.
So I just want to make sure that we have full clarifications on the reason why certain things happen, and not just make it seem like it's a one-sided thing.
Right. Right. No, I agree with that. No, you're right. That's exactly right. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. Yeah. And George, you had your hand up too? Sorry.
Yes. No. Khadija, I want to clarify. It's the reason people don't raise the concerns is because Rudy, over the last couple of years, have made it clear. He or his secretary have said up there, you cannot speak because you are not a board member. So this has happened over the last 2 years. When I was a board member and a chair of a committee, I spoke to Rudy about that. And he said, only board members could raise questions, which I think is unfair to the community. So that's why people don't ask any questions, because they are accustomed to be told, no, you cannot ask a question because you're not a board member.
Right.
You shut the community.
Yeah. And
then I have one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is not to throw any shade, but is it possible, like, if we're saying that we want to do things diligently and to move things forward, that we don't get these invitations 2 days prior to it taking place, and that all the proper document is given to us within a week or 2 weeks notice, so that we do have the time to review these documents? Because sometimes we don't, life happens. Right. And so in order for us to be better equipped to answer or to have questions, or if we do have questions, that we are properly able to do the research that we feel that we need to do when addressing these partners?
Yes, yes, ma'am. And you are completely right. And let me tell you let me explain what sometimes happens. And I'll use this example because it's the most recent. We had two businesses that were supposed to be only on our docket this evening, right? It was Oasis New York Event Space and Richard's Restaurant and Grill, right? When Farah sent out the email, those were the only two that were on there, if I'm not mistaken. That was the first email or second email she sent out. And then we got in Sam Pepper's Jerk Chicken Express that came in after that, right? So and then she had to revamp it, and then she did she sent out a third email as well. So that piece got on there. So when you think about it, I think that piece was only within a week, not even a week, actually, a few days. So with that being said, now we have three business owners, two of which didn't show up this evening, but Sam Pepper showed up. But the point that I'm making is that sometimes that's how it comes in. What I can try and do, and this is what I have tried to do in the past. I think when we worked with Miss Lyons, sometimes what I wanted her to do was to try and send me things as early as she can, right? Because it gives us more time to look at things and deliberate and, look at the location and look at the pictures that are online and all this stuff, right? So we had more time to do that. But yes, in answer to your question, I'm hoping that I want to get back to that we get this information a little earlier, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes, we get the applications later. Sometimes I get the agenda I have to look over and I'm creating a flyer and I have to add that and then all of the things, add the presentations on the agenda and all that. So sometimes it happens, there's a lot of delays, but let's try and work on getting that information out earlier. Particularly for June, where we have a flood of yes, and if Farah, this is something you want to think about too. June is always a heavy month for liquor licenses because everybody's now, whoever hadn't gotten it before, they know we're going to be out from July and August, so they want to get it out in June and get it done in June. So we generally are heavy on that month. So if we have anything that's coming up something that's coming up in June, then perhaps maybe we can reach out to those businesses ahead of time to say, hey, you need to get this in and that kind of thing, so we can get things moving ahead of time. So I agree. There are things we can do to preempt that. Okay, we can.
Hello.
Yes.
And I want to say I agree with Khadijah. We've been saying this before for years. We give these businesses a criteria list and a requirement before coming to our committee to ask for a liquor license. Then we would know exactly what they have. The fire inspection, the Department of Health, the occupancy, all of it. We would have it at least a week or 2 weeks before.
I'd like to have it at least a couple of weeks before we can do it because it gives us enough
Hassan,
time to.
Hassan, remember a long while ago, I had requested that we set up some kind of document that they have to fill out for us.
You did. You absolutely did.
Yeah,
we talked about that if I'm not mistaken, in September or October's meeting. We absolutely did talk about that. And what we got, what happened and I don't want to keep you guys much longer, but what we did do came out of that was that Allison did a needs assessment, right? A sort of a needs assessment of what we were doing. I came up with a small business survey. So those were the two things that we got as a result of that. That third one, which was the criteria that the businesses should have, we did not get to. Absolutely not.
Yeah, but that's probably the most important thing that we should have, right?
Yeah, I agree. Well, yeah. So let me. I'll put this to the committee before we adjourn. When I send over the pamphlet, right? I think you guys will see a lot of stuff in there that we can actually come up with really quick documentation for our business owners, what we call a small business guideline, or a Commerce Committee small business guideline, or whatever you want to call it, that we can make sure that they have these questions answered. And that should go into the record, which I think I said back in September, October, which, Marguerite, you mentioned, should be
Yeah.
going along with the regular paperwork that comes in. It should be
Yes,
the
because
application.
also that would save a lot of time at the meetings because we ask the same questions
We do.
over and over again.
We do. We absolutely
You
do.
know, and
We
if we
absolutely
already
do.
had them answered and the sheet of paper was in front of us, we wouldn't have to ask that question
Yeah.
at the meeting. And
Yeah.
then the board members, that could also go to the board members for the board meeting, and then they would have the answers in front of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's work on that. So I think that's something that we could do, get together, because we all know the questions that need to answer. So let's commit to doing that for our next meeting and have it ready for our businesses for next month. Okay. So I am down with doing that. It's on record that we're going to do it. Yes.
Sean, the businesses,
Say that again. I couldn't hear that. Who's talking?
well, that was Hazel, but the businesses really need to be a lot more professional as well. I remember when Suede came to the board, they actually had a folder with even their menu.
Yeah, of course they did.
I mean, and everything. And they have to really up their game a bit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you don't have to be sorry, Hazel, because I agree with you. We that's something that the committee should be demanding of our small business owners. They should be more professional when they come before us. There shouldn't be some vague, esoteric thing in the air that, you know, when you're talking, they don't necessarily know what their business is all about. And it leaves the committee members as well as our general board members with a feeling that, guys, you don't know what you know what kind of business you in. You know, I mean, those are things that just like. It leaves it really vague, and it shouldn't be that. It should be like, yeah, and we've had people come in and they're very professional. They've had a business plan. They've actually had plans of what they're going to do, what their menu looks like, what they plan on doing for the community, all this stuff. They have all of this stuff. So we absolutely have to do that. So it's on, actually, we should be demanding that. That's our problem. So if you guys are willing to work with me on that, I'm fine with it.
Right? I asked a lot of questions and they seem not to understand the question.
They understand it. They do. They understand it. They may act like they don't, but they understand it. I mean, if you're in business and if you don't understand something, you need to find somebody who does understand it so they can interpret it for you. But either way, we need to get, in other words, we need to get those questions answered to our satisfaction so we can render a decision, right? The best decision in the interest of the community as well. So I agree with that. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave you. So we've already, did we adjourn our meeting? I think, who said that? Let me ask for an adjournment again. Can I get somebody to help to make a motion to adjourn our meeting?
George.
George? Was it George?
Yeah, George.
I'll do it again. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, please. And then, so whoever can second. Get ready to hit George.
Yeah, okay. I, George Tate, make a motion to adjourn the April Commerce Committee meeting at 8:54 p.m.
Can I get a second?
The second was Marguerite.
Yeah,
All right.
I second the motion.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for your commentary this evening. I really appreciate it. And let's get this stuff done. We got a lot of work to do between now and June. So I'm very happy for all of your recommendations. I think we got a lot out of here tonight as well. Okay, but take care and please look out for my email subcommittee as well. All right, and you guys take care.
Okay,
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night,
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.